Hi there and welcome to my channel. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. If you're new to my channel, welcome. On this channel we learn alcohol, ink, and watercolor together. So if you ever have any questions, leave it in the comments. I will always get back to you, and check out the description box and the comment section for links to the products used. All right, now let's get started. Hello my friends. In my previous video I painted this flower and I mentioned that I would like to fill an entire sheet with these flowers. So that's what I did. I'm going to speed this video up because it did take me a while. I did it in between chores while I waited for it to dry, and I just kept coming back to it and adding more and more. So I'm going to speed it up, but I'll explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So you saw I took my Micron pen and I scribbled these little flowers with a black Micron pen. And then I started to create my petals as I did in the previous video. So what I did, for those of you who didn't watch the previous video, I added a heavy consistency of a color at the center of the flower, and then I rinsed my brush and I dragged that color and created the shape of a petal. And while it was still wet, I added some other colors in as well. And because I had so many flowers to paint, I was able to skip around and not have to wait for my first flower to dry before I could add more petals. But I quickly realized that I was forgetting the color combinations that I was using. So I decided to stick to maybe 2 or 3 flowers at a time. So I'm going to play some music for you, and I'll explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Now you can see that I've used a bunch of different color combinations and they're all so pretty. There is no right or wrong combination here, but as I mentioned earlier, I found it easier to stick to doing 2 or 3 flowers at a time because I was forgetting the color combinations that I was using. And then I decided to add some leaves, and I'm using the same technique. And you can see how dirty my water is, which I was thankful for, because as I was putting down the clean water, I couldn't see where I was putting it because I have a lot of lights in my studio. So I was having to tilt the paper or tilt my head to see the water. And once the water in my bowl became dirty, it was much easier to see when I put it down. So again, getting back to the leaves, I'm just putting the water down and then dropping in and making it in the shape of a leaf. And then I'm just dropping different colors in to create a little interest in the leaves, as I did with the flower petals. And once I put the color in, I used the brush to move the color around or to lift some of the color out of the leaves. So now, once most of it was dry, or rather most of it was finished, I used some Posca pens to create centers for the flowers. I just made a few dots in each center, and I used a combination of colors. I think I used yellow, orange, and green maybe. And then to add a little detail and make the center stand out, I outlined the bottom of each of those little dots that I created in the center, and it made them pop a little bit more. Now I decided to add a few more leaves, but simply with the Micron pen. There's no color in them. And then I thought that I needed to add a little bit more because it looked a little too plain to me. Imagine that, right? So I decided to add some 3-petal flowers just here and there using different colors. I didn't even drop extra colors into the petals. I just chose one color and created these 3-petal flowers. And I just added them in wherever I had a space that I thought needed it. Then, of course, I couldn't stop myself, so I pulled out some metallic paints and decided to add some leaves in these beautiful metallic colors. And I think I used all of them but the silver. And I made sure to add them in different sizes. And at first I wanted to make just the outline for some of them, but then I didn't like the way that looked, so I went back and filled those in. See, I thought I liked that, but again, later on I realized I didn't like it. So I went back and I filled them in, and I liked that much better. And what's interesting for me is that I'm not one for metallics. Usually, there's only a few metallics that I like to use, and only very special occasions when I use them. But I really like the way they looked in this painting. So you can see here that I filled in all those metallic leaves that I had just outlined, and that looks so much better to me. Then, of course, I still can't leave well enough alone, so I decided to outline the metallic leaves and add the vein in the center, just to bring more of the black into the painting. This was a lot of fun. I hope that you give it a try. Check the description box and the comment section for links to the products used. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.